So we all have these voices in our head. It's the right or wrong voice. And a lot of times that voice guides us into comfort. We like that voice. That voice, the one we want to always share, which is why people don't like to listen to me a lot. But I had this other voice I heard my whole life say, hey, motherfucker, what are you doing? No, man, we gotta go over here. We gotta go over here to that rock pile, over in the fucking corner, where nobody's at. That's where victory's at.
Things will get better. There will be some amount of relief that eventually starts to shine through. And eventually, as time passes, you will find happiness in the future. That's what will happen, right? We remember, but we don't dwell. You cannot dwell in the past. You simply cannot dwell in the past. There's nothing you can do about what has happened in the past. You can't dwell there. You can't stay there. You can't change it. You cannot change the past. And so if you focus on something that cannot be changed, you will go crazy trying to change it. You have to let those waves dissipate.
There will be no flawless success streak. It's not going to happen, because the reason why you naturally continue to grow and start to get insights you didn't have before is because you failed, didn't give up on the failing, and therefore something about you, your creativity, started to help you find solutions that before you didn't have. But you only came to these new solutions because you didn't give up in the first place when you failed. The fact is, all of this success won't come without you failing many times before and never giving up, and still having that big idea in your mind that all the little failures are teaching you something. You have been unaware.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you got to be patient with yourself when you're becoming someone you've never been before. Growth doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. Don't rush the process, because every small step forward is shaping you into the version of yourself you've been working for.
Have you ever had this thing where you wake up, early in the morning when nobody else is awake, and you start pondering possibilities? Where you start pondering like, okay, and some of those possibilities are about what you need to change in your life and that sort of thing. But then some of them start to expand into how it really could be. And you think you're dreaming, but you get the sense that it could actually be real. What I'd like to invite you to is the possibility that if we choose it, living that way could actually be real.
You've been manipulated into believing that there is some other version of you that is better, more lovable, that there's some other version of you that's able to produce in a more effective way. And notice I used the word manipulation. It wasn't by accident. You have been convinced fundamentally that you as you are the problem. But while the world convinces you of that, I'm here to tell you that you as you are is the solution. That you as you are is the solution. Because every single one of you in this room represents an infinite potential and a possibility that I can't even quantify in words.
A good book is only ever a book that you're reading at the right moment. And the right moment is going to be a bizarre confluence of needs and also a readiness to grow in a certain direction. I mean, there are moments in our life where somebody will tell you something and you're, in inverted commas, not ready to hear it. In other words, the idea, though correct, may be so threatening and so potentially destructive to the way in which you've ordered your life at that time that you are not ready to take it on board, even though maybe 10 years later, you've grown more solid in areas and you can take it on board. A lot of good ideas are both good but also anxiety-provoking. In other words, if we were really to listen to them and take them in deep, we'd have to change things about our lives. Maybe we need to get out of a relationship or into a relationship, change jobs, change our likes and dislikes. And sometimes we're not ready to make those intellectual kind of transitions. And so we need to block our ears.
And I think the way people look at the world right now, because it's such an incredible time, is actually the quickest tell to who they are. If you think it sucks or it's bad, you have losing pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic winning DNA. And I believe that to be true.
All it takes is somebody wanting to take a step. And there are certain things that a lot of people in this world are sitting there thinking in their minds, and they're just not gonna do. Like, I used to always try to pull a lot of people and be like, you know what, you can do this, you can do this. But the people that hear that motivation over and over again, sometimes they take that step. Some people just have it in them. Early, it just starts, and they just get in the muscle memory of just doing things. And if you fail, so what? You know, you start over, you do it again. But most people, that fear of failure is the thing that I think prevents them from like really being successful. And then also it's like a lot of other things that are just difficult to do. You know, when you tell people the answer to success, it's a lot of hard stuff. You got to work hard, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants a shortcut, you know? Some people understand that. They appreciate the progress, you know? If you tell people right now, hey, if you want to lose this many pounds, this is what you got to do. There's no short solution.
Lessons are what they are. You learn from them. And so I don't have a bad life because I had that experience. I have a great life because I had the experience, but you learn from your experiences. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They complain about it, but they don't want to learn from it. And that's a stubbornness that they have to stop.
There was a moment where you first felt like you weren't enough. And from that moment, you have been trying to prove through every single action that you are. Do you understand this? You have been trying to prove through every single action that you are. Do you get this? Okay, that's what your whole life has been about. That's what your whole life has been. That's why anxiety and depression is at an all-time high. And that's why suicide is upticking at a rate that's just startling. People just don't know any other way other than to end their lives. Well, how about we don't end our life? How about we just end our suffering? How about we just end our suffering? How about we find a way to finally be at peace in who we are so we're not anxious about a future that has yet to come into existence? How about that? And how about we finally have the courage to relax into the love that we are, the abundance that we are, the health and well-being that we are, the totality of the truth that we are, so that we no longer have to wrestle with this thing called depression?
I say get out of any environment that's negative to your potential dreams. You know, and I tell people that because I'm gonna tell you something. A parent could be negative, your kids could be negative, your wife or girlfriend, your partner could be negative, your minister could be negative, because you have to realize that a lot of people can't understand your vision. It means they're not gonna give you advice, they're gonna hold you back, they're gonna set points of doubt in your mind. And that's important for you to understand that, is that so many people right now being held back by people who say they love them. If you want to achieve success, everybody around you have to accept the responsibility of the success that you're trying to achieve. If they don't believe in it, you'll never win with that person. So you have to surround yourself with people who think like you, walk like you, talk like you, eat like you. But you gotta have people who believe in your thought process, your dreams, your work ethic. Otherwise, you will not win.
You know, we, in our culture, we speak so highly of thinking. We're always saying like thinking is good, reading is good, taking on ideas is good. Yes, but sometimes we're not ready for it because we're scared. You know, intellectual laziness is fear. There's no such thing as laziness, it's just fear. You're afraid that some things you might hit upon might open doors through which you are not keen to walk at that time. And so when people, you know, sometimes they're in a mood when all they can do is check Twitter and look out of the window and not focus in on themselves in any way, and they need to be distracted. It's frequently because there's an insight that they are resisting. And I think we can be generous towards that need to resist it. Like maybe that insight is too big. They can't think about it.
What if you could engage fully with all of reality and realize that part of the gift that you are is to take this reality that we have that's like this thing that everybody aligns and agrees with, that everybody's decided is real, and that our job and our possibility and our capacity is to make it more like this.
You're gonna only be so pretty, you're only gonna be so smart, there's things that are gonna be natural, and then there's things that you can actually control. I do believe, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I don't, but I do believe that work ethic is a taught behavior. It's something you do have more control over. You know, I worked every Saturday of my 20s. And I talk to 20-year-old entrepreneurs every single day. Lately, I've been saying to them, this Saturday, you're gonna have more time off than I've had in my entire 20s on a Saturday. So like before you tell me how you're gonna be bigger than me, start thinking about what you're actually doing.
You know, when you're chiseling on a rock, you know, you could chisel for a long time, and you could chisel 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, and it won't break. And then when you get to 5,000 times, it finally breaks. But all the work that you did is what made it break.
And that's the key right there, because people allow other people's limitation and vision to be introduced into their dreams will alter the course. That negative message to creep into your dream, it will slow it down or it can alter the direction. That's why people are sitting at home, not happy, working in jobs, they're not happy. And then guess what? They take that negative spirit that affects them physically. And guess what? Eventually can lead to, guess what? A disappointing life, physically and mentally.
You know, one way of looking at unhappiness is people who are in one way or another in a tunnel. They say, the only way to live is this way. They're not happy with it, but it seems the only way. I've got to love this person, though it's not making me happy. I've got to do this job, though it's a prison. I've got to live in this place, though I don't like it. And, you know, we can unpick some of those things and say, really, is that absolutely necessary? Human beings are brilliant at building themselves cages and throwing away the key.
Definition for consciousness is where everything and everyone exists and no one and nothing is judged. But then you look and you go, yeah, but if I don't judge this, how am I going to change it? You know how you're going to change it? From not judging it and asking a question like, what else is possible here? What can I be? What can I choose? What can I do? What can I create that actually creates a different possibility here?
So how do we move forward? By doing the opposite of what everyone is telling you need to do. How do we find peace? Stop trying to find peace. Be happy with what you have. Be at peace with what you have, because at that point, you'll never be deluded, you'll never be manipulated, and you'll never be moved out of your power center, your core, who you are. And that's my deepest wish for you, because the truth cannot be understood. It can only be experienced. And who you are cannot be quantified. Who you are cannot be measured. Who you are cannot be put in a box. You're not a metric. You're a person. You're human. You're alive, and you matter.
The storm that you're in, it is hard to see out of that storm. It's hard to see past it. It seems like the storm is everything. But the storm is not everything. And it won't last forever. You can get out of the storm, and you will get out of the storm. And when you get out, you're gonna see the sun. But right now, you're being tried. You're being forged. You're being tested by fire and by pain. Don't fail the test.
I want you today to decide, I am going to become disciplined. That should be your only fucking goal, because if you develop the ability to say no to the guys' nights and the girls' nights, to say no to the alcohol, if you develop that discipline, how different will your life look a year from now?
If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but by all means, keep moving.
You say no matter how hard it may be, no matter how impossible it may seem, no matter how many people walked out of my life, I'm gonna get it done. Your perspective can either be your prison, or it can be your power. That choice is always up to you. How you see life is on you. And it starts right here. Your biggest battle is not with them, whoever them is. It's not external. Your biggest battle is with you inside yourself, right between here.
Don't fail the test. Don't give in. Don't quit. don't ever quit. Fight on. Fight through the storm. Fight through the pain and come out the other side stronger and tougher and better.
The greatest gift that you can give yourself is to find something that you're naturally adept at and figure out a way to make a living at it. Because if you do that, every day will be a play day.
You want a goal that you can never attain, right? So you can always move closer to the goal that recedes as you move towards it. You think, well, that's frustrating, but it's not, because as you pursue that goal, you put yourself together and your life does get better and richer and more abundant. And that's why the highest levels of virtue and goal are in some sense transcendent. You want them to be above everything you're doing so you can continually move towards something that's more sublime and better. That's what you are. You're here to live, not to sleep.
A fight. A survivor. Victorious. Free from that storm.
And every individual walking the face of this planet, you're gonna get hit with opposition and adversity, Doc. I don't care how cute you are, I don't care how strong you are, I don't care how nice you are, it's coming to see you. I don't care how grand your dreams and your goals are, it's coming to see you. I don't care how nice of a person you are, it's coming to see you. I don't care how motivated you are, it's coming to see you. And light gonna come smack you, right? And depending upon how you process the smack, it's gonna depend upon the level of success you'll have as a result of the smack. That's why it says adversity causes some cats to break and other cats to break records.
All of us have seen our destiny at some point in time, and we decided not to listen. We decided to ignore it. So no, that's not for me. Life came in and slapped us side the head, and we stopped dreaming anymore. Victor Thomas said, the impulse to dream has been slowly beaten out of me through the experience of life. And that's what causes many of us to give up on our volcano. The experiences and the challenges, the defeats, the disappointments, and the failures of life. And we decide to prematurely throw in the towel on ourselves, or to sell out on our true potential, sell out on living our dreams.
One bad chapter don't define the book. You just stayed on the page too long. Flip it, bro, flush it. Keep it pushing. Let it make you stronger. When you process it and look at it, let it make you a better person. Like he said, what's the lesson in it? What's the blessing in it? Everything we encounter carries with it a seed that's a lesson or a blessing. Now for us to extract it, that's up to us. The perspective that we have about it, that's all on us.
Just because you had some bad chapters doesn't mean your story can't end well. But you have to find the strength to turn the page and turn your pain into your power. Turn your struggle into your growth. I can promise you this. Every single person that has strength, the foundation for their strength is struggle. The foundation for growth is pain. There's nowhere you can grow without going through growing pains.
I'd ask people what are their goals, and they're like, oh, I want to go to the gym more. That's not a goal. That's a habit. People like, I want to get in better shape. That's not specific. It's got to be like a target, something you can hit. And how you build that in your mind, the vision, is very, very important as you bombard your subconscious. And many of you are doing mind movies or vision boards, things like that. But to really ingrain this into your being is going to be key. And so I love this phrase. This is the ultimate self-development formula that you've all heard before: be, do, have. And so what you want to have, that's your goals, but all that's supported by your habits, your rituals, your standards, your story, your state. It's all the things that you're doing. And of course, I know we've all heard this before, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And so it's all in the context of who you be, because two people can do the same things, have the same habits, have the same job, have the same script, have the same goals, but one person will achieve it and one person not, based on the context of who they be. And who you be is all about what you value. People define their values. And so I asked you what you value, or anybody, they're like success, love, happiness, wealth. But they say that's what they want their values to be, but that's not what their values are. So you could ask somebody what their values are by asking them questions like, if your house was about to burn down and you can only grab 3 things, what would you grab and what do they mean to you? Where do you spend your money? Where do you spend your time? Who do you spend your time with and what do they do for you? Like reverse engineer what people's values are by looking at their actual habits and the way they show up. And if they sat in silence for an hour, unless you're a master meditator, our minds are gonna drift somewhere. And so where does the mind go? It goes to what you value. And a lot of times what we want and what we value are in conflict. People want to be successful, but they actually value comfort and laziness and significance and looking good, looking like a success more than actually being successful. So that takes work. So habits versus goals, because those are the 2 things that you really want to dial in here at the end of the year, and always working on your values, always working on your character development. Because I love this phrase from Mr. Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, who you are speaks so loudly, people can't even hear what you say. So as you're practicing those scripts, as you're sharing your goals, you've got to dial this in, and you got to make sure that there's an alignment, because most people have incongruency in their life. Their words are here with their goals. They say they're going to do something. Their words are here, but their actions are here, or their habits. Their mind's all over the place, emotionally scattered. But when your words, your thoughts, your actions are all in alignment, you say what you mean what you say, and your habits are in alignment with your goals, that is key, and things start to show up for you and start to open up for you. And so getting to the gym more, that's a habit, but you want to be specific even in that. It's finding something like going to the gym and then rating yourself. So if you had a spreadsheet and you could say like water intake, or go to the gym and 5 days a week or whatever it is. So you have this habit, but rating yourself, because sometimes you have shit workouts. Sometimes you work and you do prospecting or you're on sales calls and you did the habit, you did the thing, but you did it at like a low standard. And really dialing in these habits and tying that to your identity. I love that Tony's got this thing called strategy, story, state, but we also add standard. And so there are strategies in what you can do in your business and your marketing and everything, but all that's in the context of your story. And you have a story, consciously or unconsciously, you tell about yourself, the market, your past, about the future, whatever. And then there's a state, there's a habitual pattern of what you focus on, the language that you use, the meaning that you attach to things, and then also how you ingrain all this in your physiology to have physical mastery over these concepts where it's in you, as you, and you're just pushing these things from a place of unlimited resources, of boundless energy, that is something's coming through you because you are in alignment, and that's when things really begin to get juicy. So T is based upon the foundation. So you see all these buildings and you see all the success of other people, you see what they've created, but there's foundation, there's things beneath the surface that you can't even see. And that's the habits, that's the rituals, as our main man Tony always says, you're rewarded in public for what you practice in private. And so you getting really clear on what you want to practice, what you want to commit to, and being honest with yourself. And having that integrity with yourself. And integrity means wholeness. And I love this concept of integrity, because you even hear this word, like somebody says, you give your word. And it used to be like 100 years ago, if you broke your word, like you ruined your family's name. Now people lie all the time and it's not a big deal. So keeping this integrity with yourself, it's like integrity is like wholeness and complete. And when you give somebody your word, it's like you're giving them something. And then if you keep your word, you've put something out there, like an intention, like a goal, you've kept your word, you put it out there, and then it comes back to you, and now it comes back to you stronger, because now your mind and you're bonded to that person, and you've kept a promise to them, and you put it out there, you gave them your word, and then you kept it. And now when it comes back to you, you're actually bonded to that person, where now energetically they're gonna support you. I think it's so important for us to be in integrity with ourselves, what we say that we're gonna do, and making sure that we look down at what we track daily and weekly and monthly and yearly, whatever it is, to have this big plan for our lives, to make sure that we're living in alignment with our values, so that we can really show up powerfully, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for our companies, for humanity. And life supports that what supports life. And having a bigger vision than just yourself is what's gonna connect you and really give you the emotional fuel that you need to step outside of yourself and be bigger than any challenge that could ever happen to you.
My biggest advice to give everybody in the world is, like I say, we live in an external world. If you can, for the rest of your life, live inside of yourself, all these insecure people putting their insecurities on you, you gotta flush it out. You gotta just be whoever the hell God or whoever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You gotta take everything and throw it away. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself.
Imagine that you were taking care of yourself like you were someone you actually cared for. And then you thought, okay, I'm caring for this person. I would like things to go as well for them as possible. What would their life have to be like in order for that to be the case? 3 years from now, you can have what you need. You got to be careful about it. You can't have everything. You can have what would be good for you, but you have to figure out what it is, and then you have to aim at it.
Right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not gonna find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it.
We're all walking around managing perfect dysfunction. Like, let's just say that. Like, there is no perfect. Pursuing perfect is a false pursuit that will always leave you disappointed, right? And so our job is to perfectly dance with our imperfection.
One of the things that's really, really important to make familiar is praise. And one of the things to make unfamiliar is criticism.
But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness.
Your life belongs to those people who are going to cross the path. And because they cross your path, not anybody else's, but because they cross your path, you inspired them to want to be a better person. You inspired them to want to express love in the way that they hadn't thought before. You inspired them to listen with open ears and an open heart because they crossed your path.
Dark room, you face yourself, you realize you want to be better, you realize you don't want to be this weak, insecure person in the world who has all these problems that we all have. We all have. So that's where that dark room is.
The major cause of depression are harsh, hurtful, critical words that you say to yourself over and over again.
First one is clarity. Clarity, meaning solitude is a wonderful time for self-reflection, to self-reflect, to go inside when you're going very fast and you're driving your life very fast, you don't often have time to just say, am I going in the right direction? And so clarity can come from the power of questions. Questions give you answers. And if you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers.
But a huge part of the reason that people fail is because they don't ever set up the criteria for success. And so since success is a very narrow line and very unlikely, the probability that you're going to stumble on it randomly is zero. And so there's a proposition here, and the proposition is, if you actually want something, you can have it. Now the question then would be, well, what do you mean by actually want? And the answer is that you reorient your life in every possible way to make the probability that that will occur as certain as possible.
You don't get to come in and leave without being responsible for those that you impact. And when you understand that, you're like, hold on, my life literally sends waves out into the universe. It sends waves to the people around me, and it impacts the way they choose to show up in the world. When you recognize that, then the question becomes, so what do you send me?
It's so easy to be great nowadays. Most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it, but still do it. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody.
Your mind doesn't care if what you tell it is right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. It lets it all in. Your mind will do what you tell it. Now that you know that, tell it great things.
What's most important to me in life? And then you make a list of those things. And then ask yourself second question. And the second question is, are the actions I'm taking each day fulfilling those values, my answers? Are your actions giving you those values, fulfilling those values? So get clarity and journal, write them down, check in with yourself.
The greatest gift anyone can ever give you in life is doubt.
What you do is you set yourself up on your damn crutches and you struggle up the bloody hill. That's what you do. And you struggle up the hill towards the kingdom of God. That's what you do. Because the alternative is to descend into the abyss. That's the alternative. And then so to say, well, do you believe? It's like, I believe that you should struggle uphill towards the city of God on your crutches. That's what you should do. You know, you can lend a hand to someone, although you don't want to take the burden away from them entirely, because there's something noble about struggling up the damn hill, right? There's something, that's adventure. That's the call to proper being. It's like, well, we don't need to forget this. You know, we don't need to forget it.
So what would happen if you didn't have to find it? What would happen if you could simply sum it? And I think that that changes everything for people. If you believe that there's one thing that you were ordained to do, you pick your ever specific thing, well, then you're always going to be dissatisfied as you bounce from one thing to another, arms folded, say, nope, that's not it, that's not it. What if instead we could simply say, I am choosing to be passionate about what I do. And my purpose is whatever I am doing. I'm going to be here for it, I'm present for it, I'm nearly going to do it.
And so it doesn't matter that you overshoot continually. Because as you overshoot, even if you don't learn what you should have done, you're going to continually learn what you shouldn't keep doing. And if you learn enough about what you shouldn't keep doing, then that's tantamount at some point to learning at the same time what you should be doing.
I've got to get up and get going. I've got to become unstoppable. And I'm here to tell you right now, becoming unstoppable is a thing. It is very real and has everything to do with who you want to become and has nothing to do with who you are today.
We can't have such a scarcity mindset that we think that only one person is great. Greatness does not mean you beat everybody else. Greatness to me means that you went right to the edge of what you were capable of doing in this moment.
So I began to think about the person I wanted to become. I stopped worrying about who I was right now, and I began to paint a vision of how the person would act that I want to become. And I began to act in that fashion.
Many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin, don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second, there goes another second, there goes another second, and we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind in your dreams and your bills.
And so it feels to me like talent is a betrayer. It is undermining all of the people who put all that work into skill. Don't call someone skillful talented, because they're not. They're skillful.
The most important question any man must decide for himself is whether or not he lives in a friendly or hostile universe.
You can choose to put in the work to gain the skill. And if that's true, that's really good news, because it means you're not stuck where you are. It means you can go to where you want to go. And it's really good news because skills can be acquired.
We have all pulled a web of lies over our own eyes. And the web of lies is what you tell yourself about what's possible for you and for the world. And once you get that web of lies over your eyes, you simply see it as reality. And you don't understand that each one of those fundamental beliefs is alterable, that you could choose to believe something else. In fact, you don't even realize that they are beliefs.
There's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls.
Not happiness. Forget about that. If it comes, well, great, accept it. Dignity, nobility, character, truth, responsibility, beauty. Those are the things to aim for.
You get to choose whether you're living in a friendly or a hostile universe. There's no objective reality. It just is what it is. You're gonna get what you see. You're gonna get what you focus on. And you see what you focus on. So the more you focus on, the world works against me, I've got bad luck, the more you're gonna see proof of that. You're going to seek it out. You're gonna act in accordance with that belief. If, on the other hand, you believe the human potential is nearly limitless.
I don't care how good you are, I don't care how talented you are, I don't care how much you work on yourself. There are some times when things aren't going to go right.
But I really believe everything you do in life should be in service of your goals. And the moment that you're acting out of alignment with your goals, you either have a problem with your goal or with your behavior. One of them is going to have to change.
I suggest to you that if you are facing a challenge, don't stop. Stay busy. Work your plan. Continue to do those things that you know that work for you after you have evaluated yourself in the situation. Continue to move. Stay busy, stay busy, stay busy.
The only thing ultimately that's ever going to matter in your life is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself.